kind of explain how that works. So when they ask me the question, it's like they're giving me permission to tune into their energy field and also to the energies around them in their family unit and the people in their life. And so when they ask a specific question, it's like I'm kind of reading that energetic field, and I can see where the blockages are in the body, where the blockages are in the life, or what soul contracts are playing out with specific people, or I might even be given past life energy around the question. And so it could, the answer could come in a myriad of forms, whether it's a past life information or something that I'm sensing in the body, or something I'm sensing with other people. It could even be messages from spirit come through, but I'm kind of reading it in a quantum field, like the energetics of your life and what's holding you back at this time. That's going to be what I'm tapping into, and that's how I'm reading it. I'm kind of my psychic senses, my higher self is able to read the energetics of the situation. It's not really just an answer to the question either. Sometimes it is a clearing. It's we can actually let that go through the answer to the question. So it's healing from that question. It's not just, I got an answer to a question. It's like I got an answer to a question and I released the energy of that was sabotaging me. Yeah. So it's very powerful to ask the question and be willing to receive whatever comes up and is ready to be released with that question.
Another podcast from my beautiful soul sister, Rebecca Gambles. Welcome, Rebecca. Thanks for joining me. And today, what we're going to talk about is something very near and dear, I think, at this stage to both of our hearts. And so we want to share that with you today as the light, as the difference, as the uniqueness in that expression on earth, as more and more people awaken and transform, and to receive, receive the awareness of the contrast of projections, judgments, etc. How to, rise above it, or how to feel safe in the body, and make peace with that. What's required? What's the shift within Rebecca, within myself, within others who may hear this at a later stage of really, this becoming into the realized self?
Is to acknowledge that you came here to light the way home, to show the way. So while you're pretending to be a human, to wear the suit, you're not showing anyone anything. You're showing people that what they're choosing is okay. I'll choose it as well. We can all choose suffering together. But you came for this. That's what you need to acknowledge. You came for this.
To be the way, sure. To be the example. Yeah. Mm-hmm. To be the different.
Yeah. There's a sense of like a row of lights, almost like we've all been given a position somewhere. Maybe it's not on the planet, I don't know, it might not be on the planet, but we've been given a position, is the only way I can describe it. And it's like all these flames in a row, but when one of the flames doesn't show up, there's a gap, and then the path isn't lit. It's like people get there and they go, there should be another flame here now, but it's not here, so now I'm lost, now I'm stuck, this light isn't here, it's gone out, or so then there's a loss of way. Whereas if every person who agreed to light the way home stands in line, gets in their place and shines the way they agreed to, then the path is lit and it's easy. And the only reason it's not easy is because we're not shining. And if we shone, it would be so much easier for the other people that are ready to walk home to the light, however you translate that, to do so. So how much longer are you going to keep them waiting? You're waiting for them to wake up. They're waiting for you to show them the way.
And today, what we're going to talk about is something very near and dear, I think, at this stage to both of our hearts. Yeah, so it's really around the quantum healing hypnosis technique session that I trained in with Dolores Cannon back in 2013, 2014. Myself and Rebecca, we met in 2015. And I do believe that it was 2015 that you had the first quantum with me, first QHHT session. I think it was 2015. I still remember that session. So would you like to explain a little bit what the experience is like for you, and also just want to honor your background as well, with all your own psychic gifts and mediumship and being able to tap into past lives? And so actually with that, I guess as through the quantums, through doing the quantum hypnosis session, actually that's I'm remembering something now from 2015, which is one of the things was in your quantum healing hypnosis session, if I recall correctly, going into the past life was so easy for you because you had a background in past life regression. And what I felt was the quantum leap for you at that time was going beyond past lives, more into your higher self, awareness and communication. So if there's anything you want to share around that you can recall, or any insights.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like 12 or 13 years ago now since I trained in past life regression. So to become a past life regressionist, and when I first trained in it, I was doing regressions on myself every week or every fortnight. So I really got into that pattern of just being able to drop in really quickly. And what I noticed with our earlier quantums was I was going into the past life and having a deep exploration of one particular past life, and then that was taking me into the quantum. But in the last few quantums, we haven't done that, and we've gone more into like multi-galactic realms, or we've gone into, you know, talking to my guides about why I came here, or we've gone into the expansion of source energy, or different planets. So yeah, like it's definitely progressed as I've got more comfortable in the quantum. But like the past lives originally was a really good way to take me in, and I was really comfortable in that space because I'd done so many past life regressions myself, and I'd learned to trust that information. Because initially when I had my very first past life regression maybe 15 years ago, I remember lying there going, I'm making this up, like this is just my imagination, like this isn't real. And it wasn't until the emotions started kicking in and the bodily reactions to the past life that I was like, oh wow, this is actually real. And then, you know, through the last 15 years, obviously I've learned to trust that. And even when those thoughts come in of like, I'm making this up, it's just like, no, this is true, carry on.
Just for anybody who has never done a quantum healing hypnosis and you might be considering it, you don't actually have to believe in past lives to do it. It's not necessary. There's an awareness that we actually do have everything in this life. Now, even though I'm saying that, I also kind of want to point out we are here to expand our consciousness. And so for myself personally, I'm going to share a little story as well, Rebecca, about when lovely Helena from Ireland first told me about you. So the story is Helena had met Rebecca in Nelson here in New Zealand in a backpackers where Rebecca was working at the time, traveling around. And then she came to my place in Hamner Springs, and she was my therapist. This is back in 2011. I just remember her telling me about this Rebecca Gamble, and she'd had this incredible past life regression that helped her heal her asthma. And that made a profound impact on her. So she was raving about her experience with you. And, you know, for the time that she was always saying, oh, you two, you got to meet and all of this. And I was like, to be quite honest, I was not interested in past lives. It did not like, and so I was like, nah, I don't think this person is for me.
She kept telling me about you. She's like, you've got to meet Mary Jo. She's so wise. I'm staying with this woman. She's so wise. And I thought you were this little old lady. I just, in my head, I was like, she's going to be really old and wise, you know. And I went to see you for a cup of tea, and you opened the door, and I was like, oh, she's my age. Oh, it was so funny.
So little did I know that we would connect when we did connect, and we've still stayed connected ever since and been incredible on this journey. And through the quantum healing hypnosis, I mean, have got to know each other deeply. You know, it's a beautiful, incredible journey. Back to another thing that you said about the past life regression, which I think is so insightful, is that how your mind was saying, I'm making this up, because that's so normal, you know. It's so normal. And even in the quantum healing hypnosis, you know, I share that with people. It's okay. It's like, even when I'm doing the induction, I'll say, you might think you're making this all up. That is completely normal. We all feel that way. And I know I certainly did. And you actually did a past life regression on me years ago. That was very powerful. You were taking me through a past life regression. And I remember the same thing. I'd done quantum healing hypnosis and still the same thoughts. Am I making this up? And da, da, da. So it's been quite a journey with the past life. But the other thing I wanted to say is I feel for my soul, partly because I was brought up in a religious Catholic upbringing, which was very much about this life, heaven and hell. I feel like I needed to really expand my horizon to really understand, really accept, not just get it as a concept, but really viscerally, emotionally accept and absolutely know that as a soul, I've had many, many, many lifetimes on this planet. So often for me as well, it can be quite emotional because that's undeniable for me. It's not necessarily always visual for me. I know it is a lot more for you, but it is very visceral because it's like in this life, my soul is like, you're going to have to accept, you know, this more expanded way of understanding yourself. So to me, that seems to be it as well, is through the past life. But then in going back to your session 2015, it was like the expansion for you, because you were so familiar with the past life. The expansion for you and the acceptance was, oh, I'm beyond past lives. I am my higher self that can hold this being that has had this multiplicity of life experiences. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the higher self knows why we came here, right? So the higher self knows the purpose of this life. So it knows the purpose of all the lives we've experienced, and it knows what we've come here to bring in this life. And so, yeah, for me, like having the quantum, like I really feel that part of me come through, and it's like the personality and the ego gets out of the way, and then that part just speaks so clearly, you know. And it's interesting. I find in different quantums, I can go into different depths with the higher self. And sometimes it's really like, it doesn't sound like me speaking. There's this other part that comes through and speaks about me in the third person. Oh, Rebecca has a habit of doing this, you know? And it's so interesting to re-listen to that voice that just speaks so clearly and just, yeah. So yeah, just the advice that comes through, sometimes really brutal, like, oh yeah, okay, oh, I do that. I mean, you know, your husband always says my higher self is brutal, like, and it's brutal with me, like the personality, you know, that's maybe attached to certain things, or and it's just like, no,
brutal is just pure honest, pure clear. And of course, that's the fascinating thing, is that in our human journey, we are actually so used of not being clear. It's like when that clarity comes through, it doesn't have the emotionality. Like the deeper in you go, the deeper. And yeah, do you want to explain a little about that? Because it can sound so, it can seem incomprehensible to the left brain, and of course it is when we're moving into the quantum realm. But it's actually it's like the deeper in you go, as you drop in and drop down through the different brainwave states, from the beta to the alpha to the theta, deep down into theta. The deeper in you go, the more expansive you become, and the more expansive you become, the less connected you are to the emotional realm.
Yeah, it feels like you can kind of release your attachment to people and places and things, and the higher self is just really directing your path in a way, or the next best step, and kind of letting you know where maybe you're hanging on to things that don't serve you. And you know, so your personality is like, oh, I really want to keep this person in my life, or I really want to keep on doing this, but the higher self just comes through and is like, this is why we're going this way. It's just, yeah, it just feels like it's without attachment. Yeah, I just want to add as well, like, you know, sometimes the information that comes from the higher self is like, it can be very, you know, brutal, like we say, but also there is compassion that comes with that part of you as well, that recognizes why you are operating from a certain place. So like, you know, sometimes I'll say, oh, Rebecca's doing this, And the reason she's doing this is because her inner child is scared of moving forward, or is scared of being seen. And so it brings that clarity of the pieces that are actually holding you back, that need some attention. So you can say, okay, this part of you is sabotaging your path right now. And if you can bring some attention to that, then we can move forward as we are destined to do, as we are intending.
Absolutely, absolutely. And often parts of the quantum healing hypnosis, it can really be working with somebody's inner child, because often that is a really important piece, especially for starseeds, actually. Those who are very starseedy galactic, because they can be very comfortable in that. And often it's actually helping them to really come back and to accept being human, and accept that their soul made a choice to be human, and to really be in their body, because often they're wanting to be out and, you know, in the Pleiades or whatever, but realizing, no, you chose. So sometimes some of the sessions is actually helping souls realize or accept that they actually chose to be on this earth, so they can accept being human. Because yeah, it's challenging, as we all know, to accept being human. But I feel like that's the bridge that we're looking to bridge. And that's one of the reasons, you know, through the work that you do and through the quantum work, you know, ultimately it is all about bridging our connections and inclusiveness rather than exclusiveness, you know, including this humanness as part of this greater awareness of who we are as a multidimensional being of light, of love, of connection, to many galaxies and many even universe, if you want to go with that. And even beyond that, we're source. We're connected to source. We're the session, what goes on in the session, whether it's inner child, whether it's past life, whether it's on another planet, whether it's there, whether it's in childhood or it's in past life, but it's where the energy is stuck. So sometimes, this is why I say it doesn't even matter whether you believe in past life, is because sometimes actually what happens in some of the quantums I've done is, I had one woman, it all came in colors. She was bawling her eyes out, but whatever she was seeing, fractals, colors, it all was connected to emotions and experiences, but she didn't want to go into experiences because they were just too traumatic, and she just didn't want to go there. But by represented by shapes and colors, it was creating this incredible journey of awareness and emotions being released and healing. And another way that it often happens, and I often like, sometimes like, oh, that doesn't sound like I don't feel that's a past life. And then later on, I'll ask the higher self, was that a metaphor or was that a real life? So sometimes I have to remember that. Sometimes, just like what you said, the higher self knows. So it'll give somebody a metaphor, because that's going to be more appropriate for that person than actually diving deep into a past life. So it's interesting. Like, you know, we really are quantum beings. So there's no one way. And even when people are going into sessions, that's why I always say, like, releasing all expectations, because the more we can release expectations, it really opens up the field of what's possible. So with that, let's move forward. So we did a few sessions with you initially. However we were doing it, you were doing Palladian light work with me.
Light work.
Yeah. And then the quantums, we started doing these more co-creative sessions where I would ask, well, I mean, they're always like, seems like there's similar themes as well, or there's certain themes of energy that we're moving through, like especially with our inner child around being seen and sharing our voice and, you know, things like that. But also, I would ask specific questions, you know, after you would have your kind of part of the session, then I'd ask specific questions, and also around Steve, and with incredible insight, incredible, again, like, or ask your higher self to connect to my higher self and then bring through that information. And that's been phenomenal. I mean, we've been doing this now for a few years, and the information that has come through for myself and for Steve has been like incredible. Like, I know it has absolutely supported us to release patterns along the way, to help us become aware of certain patterns that we had within our relationship, and to find it within us, the willingness to break through those patterns or to release those patterns, so that we could move those places where we were getting stuck in our relationship at times. So it's just profound. And we were just talking before we hopped on that you listen back on your last one, and it's just, and you know, and I listen back on the piece to do with me, and it's like, Yeah.
I am that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because at the beginning I was walking in a river when we first went in, and then when you put the pyramid over me, which was also diamond white light, I was diamond white light, and I was like, well, I don't need this pyramid because I am diamond white light, so I am the pyramid. And so now I'm just in diamond white light, but it is me.
Yeah. How does that feel?
Just easy.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more.
Well, there's just nothing to do.
Hmm. What's it like when there's nothing to
There's no drama. There's nothing to do. It's like this sense of like, I just am this, so that's it. Full stop. You know, like that's it. Like it's all you need to know. Like, yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah.
You know, like what else do you actually want to know about yourself? It's kind of what I feel. Like, what else is there to know? Like, this is who you are. Yeah, just the end. You know, like I just feel like there's nothing else to say. Like, this is who you are. There's no story. There's nothing to unpick, or there's no drama, or there's no past life, or there's nothing to look at. It's just like, this is it. So why are you making anything difficult? It's the sense.
So let's ask, why are you making anything difficult? Why does the human make things difficult? What is that about?
Because we've forgotten what we are and who we are. So, I mean, there's just this sense of like floating in this like vast, infinite, crystalline, beautiful energy. And then feeling my capacity to bring that energy to earth. They're just giving me an awareness about something. I think I've shared this with you, that when I'm traveling, I always say activate diamond white pathway. And when I do that, I have no delays or any issues or anything. And it's just me acknowledging the knowingness of who I am and what's possible. It's so like, if I exist in that frequency of being the diamond white light, then it's like I ride over the top of the other dimensions in a way, or ride through them, or like it's hard to describe this, but it's just like another possibility, like a new possibility, or the highest possibility. So I feel like I've been in this process of like anchoring this light within the physical body that is me. So why am I making it so difficult? It's almost like I've decided it can't be easy. Like I'm watching everyone else struggle. I feel like I'm not acknowledging the ease with which I can create and flow and be.
Why do people seem to have different resonance? Like I call that divine love. Rebecca's the diamond white light. What creates those different, I guess, that we end up describing or resonating with different terminology? Or oneness or 0 point field, all these different.
I think feels like it's just how we perceive it. So it's just like when you're psychic and sometimes somebody sees something, but somebody else hears it and somebody else feels it and somebody else knows it. It's just our perception of the way we perceive our realities. So for me, I see light sparkling through my body a lot. I feel like when I walk, I'm like this energy that just, yeah, changes things.
And so speak to Rebecca then from this white light energy of walking in this energy and recognizing it when, so what causes the falling out of it or the drama, the challenges?
There's a resistance to, I don't know whether this is the answer to that question, just hold that question, but
yeah,
the awareness I'm just getting is there's a resistance to fully being all of it.
So tune into that resistance. What's that about? What's the core of that? Is it a belief?
Can't be this easy. Life can't be this easy. Rebecca thinks if everything came easy to her, it would be boring.
Yeah. Well, I know in previous sessions, her soul has been interested in challenges.
Yeah, she's creating challenges because she thinks it makes it more interesting. And I'm even feeling that in the relationships as well. Like it just doesn't come easy because choosing the challenges.
So truth, is it fun anymore? Those challenges and dramas, like for the soul in this particular incarnation?
No.
What is it? What is it right now? Truth. And this incarnation. Yeah.
The challenges are now boring.
What's interesting? What's more fun?
Creation.
So speak to Rebecca a bit.
Transformation as well in others.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll just, because I've got a list of them on my phone, like they're recorded on my phone, and sometimes I'll just go to like 6 years ago, scroll to like a certain amount of minutes and just click play, and then whatever I listen to is just perfect for that moment. It's like, oh, I needed to hear that right now, and it's something I said 6 years ago from my higher self. So they're just so valuable, just to keep listening as I feel guided. But yeah, I did this morning, just listen to the last one. And yeah, there's just always more to receive. Yeah.
And that's part of the integration process. So often, I don't really do this at the end of your sessions that we do, really. I might have done it some time ago, but often if I am doing a quantum session with somebody, I started doing this myself. It was never part of the training or anything that I've done, but I started doing it because I realized, especially over the latter years, depending on where somebody is vibrationally and how much kind of work they've done or how available they are to that level of information, because vibration, information, frequency, at that deeper level would reflect what it would take to integrate that information. So I started asking the higher self before I'd finish off a session, going on the energy and everything that was shared within this session. What guidance do you have in how, and what's the in what, how many times does this person need to listen to this to actually integrate it? And sometimes it would come through that the person needs to listen to it every day for 10 days and then once a week after that. For another person, it might go 3 times. For another person, it might be go once and she'll have it.
Yeah, it was usually just once, but it was in a certain amount of time. So once within the next 3 weeks or something like that. Yeah, like you did do that with me initially. You don't do that anymore. And I guess my intuition just tells me if I need to listen to it again, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to touch on the integration piece.
Yeah, and I want to say that both of us, when we met, were so resistant to being on camera, like so resistant to being seen. And I mean, there's still elements of that. Like I'm noticing my throat sometimes. I'm just like, I'm clearing my throat, which I don't do just on a normal call with you. So I'm aware, okay, there's still something in my throat here around being on camera and being seen. But like acknowledging how far we've come through the quantums and going back to the past lives where we were seen and then we were killed for speaking our truth and releasing all that so that we actually are sat here today on camera doing a podcast that we're going to put out to the public, you know, like acknowledging what we've actually moved through in doing those quantums and doing the past lives. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. And recognizing there's still residual energy there, like, okay, I'm, you know, and it's minor, but it's there because I'm just going, you know, there's still something in my throat that's like wanting to shift. Just like, okay, I acknowledge that it's still there.
Since you say that, I want to share this story because I literally just shared it back to you, just literally like last week or a few days ago, when there was this one time where I kept having like,
oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
back on the quantum, and I'm
yeah.
And I remember Steve listening to it. He's like, "What's going on with you?" And then eventually, when you know, because often I know now, especially in our sessions, because we are so co-creative. Sometimes it happens in other people's session, but sometimes I might get pressure in my head or some bodily stuff is coming up, and I know something's trying to get my attention because that's my way of my guidance really speaking to me is through the body, through the visceral, through the clairsentient awareness or the knowingness, but I might distrust the knowingness. So then it'll come more clairsentient. And so this was happening. So eventually, like when you were very much in your higher self, I asked your higher self to connect to my higher self, and I was like, what is this throat thing going on? And your higher self said something like, you don't want to know what it is, or you're not willing to, you're not willing
to know.
Yeah, are you willing to know? And then and then I said yes. He said, well, you have resistance to knowing or something like that. And I was like, okay, so what's keeping me in resistance to knowing? And we danced around for a little bit, and then eventually, and it must have been back in 2020, 2021. Because then eventually what came through, which was like pretty wow. And it took me a while to again listen back and really go, oh my God, that is true. But but my human had real tough time receiving it because obviously I didn't want to know. Part of me didn't want to know because of the changes that it meant in my life. And so the answer that came through is that what was getting stuck in my throat was my resistance to knowing that I actually wanted to spend time alone with my soul. And at the time I was running my retreat, and so much of my self-worth and self-value and joy had come from being with my clients, had come through that. And you know, I'd still spend a bit of time out, but I was really beginning to there was this feeling that I just want to spend more time alone and really disconnect from how I was doing things. But that was really challenging and confronting for my human. And then eventually I did accept more and more of that and end up, you know, having more time by myself. But yeah, do you want to speak a little bit about your situation and where you're at and what you're discovering just of late, really, about spending this time with your soul and your inner beingness that's calling to you, and especially just what you talked about before we jumped on, really realizing how much you've been resisting peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you know, I've been traveling around, and for the last 2.5, 3 years, actually, I've been going summer to summer, you know, so I'm having summer in New Zealand, summer in Europe, and just been really busy. And then I was really guided, not through one of the quantums actually, you know, I asked in the quantum, should I go back to England again? And it was like, well, you can do, but you're going to get the same energy you always get when you go back. You're just repeating the past. So actually choose something different. And so I chose to stay.
The patterns.
Yeah, break the pattern. And I even felt that, like, oh, I'm here and then I'm there and then you know, and I'm living the same thing and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, it was break the pattern. And so I decided to stay in New Zealand for winter. And I was originally pet sitting, and anyway, I've ended up now renting a house in the Bay of Islands, and I find myself pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm in the bush, I'm overlooking the beach, the bay, and there's hardly anyone around. And so I'm spending all my days alone, unless I actually choose to drive somewhere. And originally I was a little bit resistant to that, like, oh, you know, I want to go dancing, I want to go swimming, I want to go and see people. And but recognizing actually my soul called me here, and that actually my soul is choosing peace now rather than the busyness. But it actually took me going to Auckland last week and going back to the city and going dancing and chasing the things that I thought I wanted, to recognize actually I miss my little sanctuary back home. And that is actually where I want to be right now. And, you know, some of the information that's come up through my quantums is, you know, like even the last one, which I just listened to this morning, like the final message you said, is there any final message for Rebecca in this quantum? And it was like, to accept that she wants peace now. Like she's seeking the peace. And, you know, like I am a very social person. So, you know, often I'm going seeking socialization, but yeah, realizing this is what my soul needs right now. Yeah, it's like the quiet. I'm coming back to myself. Like I've been doing a lot of transformational work as well. And it's like coming back to the self and just going inward. And, you know, I'm doing yoga and meditating and journaling and getting so much gifts from that. And just recognizing this is perfect at the moment, even though my personality goes, oh, you know, I want to be out in the world and I want to be doing things. It's like, actually, this is where I need to be right now. But recognizing that through the quantums, it's come up so many times, your soul loves challenge. You come here and, you know, you chose this, you chose these challenges. You're like, yeah, bring it on. I want to move through all these challenges. And recognizing that what came up in the last quantum was that I had a really peaceful life, or there was a situation that was like so peaceful and harmonious, and my soul was bored, because it was like, where's the challenge? Where's the growth? And so then in this life, setting up these challenges and then asking, why am I having all these challenges, you know? And it's like, oh, well, your soul chose it because it likes that challenge. But then also accepting that it's time for peace now. Like, I don't have to keep putting myself through all the drama and the trauma, and like my soul can choose peace now. And so I feel like finding myself here in the Bay of Islands is me accepting peace, that my soul wants this right now.
Yeah. And for me as well, it's like letting go of who I was to move into this next level of service. That's the way I feel, you know. So that's what I was avoiding knowing, is to spend more time with myself so that I could deepen into what that next level of soul embodiment and connection that was really calling to me. And let go of the identity, the previous identity that I had as a healer, actually, you know, and through the transformations through clients and the way that I was doing, especially one-on-one. So I feel for both of us, that's a big shift, that we're both being, you know, invited to really step into more online and global, you know, to expand our reach globally. And I know we've had both had lots of inner child stuff coming up around that.
Wanting to keep our magic to ourselves because it's our special place, you know, like the inner child is just like, this is my secret, this is my special gift. I don't want anyone.
I wanted to keep it inside the walls of my retreat, which felt safe to my inner child. It felt like she could really come out and play and be magical. So it's this whole journey to open up, and again, the trust piece that you know, to trust our own energy. And I think that's a huge part, to trust, you know, trust who we really are as souls, as embodied, you know, expressions of source energy, to really trust who we are, trust our own energy, to create. And something you know, it often comes into my head, you know, if something comes up or I say something a little fearful, you're like, well, why would you create that for yourself? And I'm like, yeah, you know,
It's
remember.
easy to go into the worst case scenario, isn't it? Like, oh, if I do this, this is going to happen,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. So it's like, why would we create that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that part of that is actually accepting who we really are. So then again, you know, it's claiming I do know, and I'm choosing to know, and you know, because part of the reason we shut down our knowing, sometimes it was to fit in and to survive and to not rock the boat and to be acceptable. So it's unlearning some of those things that we put in place, or we agreed and aligned with, to do, you know, to be the human, to have the journeys, to have the experiences. And then it's like, oh, okay, I need to put that down now. And I think that's what's so challenging for our human nature, is to get into this more fluid, flowing, energetic dance with life, where we're not so, you know, because the tendency of the human and the ego is to hold on and get attached. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is releasing attachment. Do you want to talk a little bit about your own journey, because you have been traveling and the house sitting, and you know, you've released so much attachment to who you were, and yeah, so much change, and just for so many people moving through transitions, whether it's a job, a relationship, you know, I think that's a huge. I mean, I do feel collectively on the planet, we're all asked to get more comfortable with transition, with change, and to stop, like, really let go of this gripping, clasping habits, because it's like a habit, you know, because things used to change, and there wasn't, you know, we weren't used to things changing so quickly. Now everything's changing, bum 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 bum. So if we're holding on to what was, you know, we're going to be stuck in the struggle of that, because it's already gone. And the new, it's like, I often use the analogy of technology, because it's great. It's like we're uploading our latest app, but you have to release something off the hard drive to download what's the latest information. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe even stepping into, you know, your sharing about your dolphin retreat and the ascension codes, and you know, what we're being asked to let go of so that we can ascend, and how to navigate that on a very practical kind of human level as well.
Yeah, well, I feel like, you know, I feel like my letting go process really started when I set off traveling. So I was 28 years old, and I had 28 years worth of belongings, and just really going through that, and releasing things that didn't serve me, and that, you know, and releasing all my jobs as well that I had. Like, I was so attached to working, and I was, you know, I was a bit of a workaholic, and so I had to let go of all that. And yeah, and so I left England at 28 and went traveling for 5 years. And, you know, then I was just traveling with what was on my back, and it was kind of, you know, if I bought something new, I had to let go of something old. It was kind of a one in, one out policy, because it was like, this is what I can travel with. And then, yeah, so for the last 15 years, I've kind of been moving around, and that, you know, I kind of collect things, and then there comes a point when have to let go again, and it's like, right, now I need to release these things, because I'm traveling again, and it's, what can I carry? And I find that as I let go of things, possessions, it also is quite symbolic of letting go of something within myself, within my psyche. So it's kind of like clearing out your luggage, so to speak. You kind of clear out on an energetic level as well. So even clothes, for example, you know, you can get really identified with, like, this is my identity, this is the way I dress, this is the way I look. And then you hand those things on that no longer bring you joy, because, you know, if you're keeping something, you know, a lot of times we keep things because we think, well, we might need that again. I might need that. You know, oh, I really like this book, I'm not going to give that away because I might need to read it. But what I find is, like, I can give away a pile of clothes, for example, and then a week later someone goes, oh, do you want these new clothes? And I literally get given the very thing I've given away if I need it, you know. And the same thing happens with books. Like, I'll give away a book, I'll say, oh, would you like this book? And then 6 months later, I'll think, oh, I wish I didn't give away that book. And it comes back to me through someone else. Oh, would you like this book? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do actually. And so I feel like through that experience, it's really trusting that you're never going to get rid of anything that you need, if that makes sense. Like, what you're guided to get rid of is meant to be released. And the person you're giving it to needs it more than you. Like, that's theirs now, you know, even to the point where, like, things will actually give me a sense of who they want to go to. Like, I've had, like, pictures say, I want to go to this friend, or crystals, I want to go to this person, because it's like, I no longer need it anymore. Like it's paid its service to me and now I'm passing it on. But then also trusting that the things that I do need also coming to me. So someone who is releasing something that then comes to me. And so through that, there just comes this abundance, this flow of abundance where it's like, I don't need to hold on to this. It's the same with money. When we cling to money, like this is my money and I'm not going to hand it over to anyone because it's mine and I'm going to try and store it. It becomes a bit of a stagnant energy. So it's like, actually, I'm just going to release that to you and it just comes back round again through someone else. And so there's this flow of abundance that just moves between people. So yeah, I've really got good now at like letting things go. And I mean, there's certain things obviously that I have attachments to, like things my mother gave to me before she died, for example. There's certain things that of course I cherish and would find harder to give away. But in general, I do find there's a healing in letting things go. Yeah, and it's like that old energy moves out of your field. The things in your house, they all carry an energetic imprint. So looking around your house, what do I not need anymore, and releasing it, and it's going to be of more value to someone else than you hanging on to it just in case you need it in 10 years time. That other person might need it right now, and in 10 years time they might give it back to you. So it's like allowing the object to have its purpose with somebody else. I recently gave like the majority of my crystals away, which I'd had for 15 years, and they were all so imbued with angelic Reiki because they'd been on all my courses, and they were all beautiful crystals, but it was just a sense of they've had their time with me now and now they need to go to someone else.
And it's really liberating. Like there's a liberation as well to be that free.
It's very
because you're acknowledging your abundance. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like it really is in the giving.
Yeah.
You actually get to receive something very special, even if it's just the vacuum that opens up for what you're going to receive next into your life. Whereas holding on, whether it's emotions, whether it's things externally or internally, that's the stuck energy. It gets so stuck, and that's when life has to come in and something has to happen.
Yeah.
Like it could be a fire in a house, for example, physical stuff, but it could be a death in the family, to release the grief or the emotional stuff that's been held onto. Because it's like this I say this balance, but it's like evolution wants to happen. So it's like we have to be willing to change with the seasons, so to speak, or the energy needs to flow. Otherwise it gets backed up. And so that can be on the very physical expression, of course, things, and then on our emotional expression. So again, coming back to the quantums, coming back to all the work that we both do, that's what I see in the work that we're so dedicated within ourselves. It is, I mean, I know freedom is definitely like a compass for me. It's like, my soul is here for liberation, whatever that means. And for me, that is freedom is, it is becoming more empowered and liberated within my expression, to recognize the abundance, the infinitely abundant, and I mean infinite grace. Like when I was in my own quantum and really tapped into that most expansive field of awareness, energy, that's what it was. It was like pure awareness, infinite grace. And once as well, when I was toning with a group of people, we were toning around abundance. It was like prosperity, wealth, money, and just tuning into the frequencies. It was very fascinating, actually. And what really surprised me is that we said jackpot. So we did all the different kind of abundance, and then we said jackpot, and we're just intuitively just tuning in and just toning. And we said jackpot, and then I toned, and I realized as I was toning, grace. Because my human brain was going cha-ching, cha-ching. I was just seeing money machines. And, that's what I had in my human brain around jackpot. But when I actually went into the actual truth of what the true jackpot was, it was grace. Because that's flow, infinite abundance, grace. Yeah. So that made me, recognize the grace as something not religious, because I probably had it in the religious context before that moment. And it was like, whoa, yeah, to be in graceful flow, graceful connection, because it's just like, there's no stickiness there. Grace is just pure beingness.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of, that kind of takes me to the dolphin retreat, because it feels like, the dolphins have told me you need to schedule this retreat, and you're going to call 20 people to this retreat who are ready to step up into the next level of their life. They're ready to let go of the old, and they're ready to step onto a new timeline. And that's like a different kind of letting go in a way. It's a sense of letting go of old energies, like old traumas in the body, old ways of thinking, belief systems, and old ways of
memories
being stuck in the struggle. The message that keeps coming is let go of the familiar. So like the things that you were trained through the family, let go of that. And so it feels like a letting go, and then a stepping up into a new vibration. But it's interesting because I asked the dolphins about the money, the financial side of the retreat. So the investment for the retreat is 3333. But I'm actually having to back the financial investment of that retreat myself. And so I've been asking the dolphins about the financial side, and the message that comes again is it's not about the money. It's not about like how much money am I spending, how much money am I receiving. It's about the transformation that's going to take place. And I listened to the Quantum again this morning, and it was like, what value do you put on that transformation that's going to happen in your life? So it's just like, we don't care about the money, like that. They're not, they obviously don't use money in the ocean, but it's like, look at the value of what you are actually receiving energetically through that process. So it's another form of letting go. It's letting go of everything that's holding you back, so that you can step into a more empowered version of yourself that is willing to receive abundance, joy, health, wealth, all of that, and can embrace success in your life in whatever way that looks for you.
Yeah. And what comes up to me as you're speaking there is about value, what we value, and how we've been conditioned to value and quantify through the different mediums that we do, through the numbers of money, through the numbers of followers, through the numbers of whatever different ways that we've learned to quantify our value, even through our suffering. There's so many different ways, and like it's like a shift of value. Do you value being radiantly healthy? Do you value being your freedom, whatever that looks like for you? And how much are you willing to, and your joy? With the dolphins, for me, it's always like joy, to value joy, and imagine a planet where we value joy over suffering, over. Anything else blocking Rebecca from attracting people or receiving people on her retreat?
Yeah, there's a part of her that still questions what she's offering is valuable. There's a part of her still questioning the power of her own energy. And so it's like she's saying all the right things, but there's a part of her that's still questioning it. So it's to really know and anchor that belief in self and my own power and my own energy. Really acknowledge who I am.
What does that part require to release from that perspective and to feel unified with the whole truth and the absolute knowing of who and what and how Rebecca is, how she serves, and the potency of this energy, her energy, and the retreat and the dolphins, and everything she truly knows deep in her heart and her soul?
Well, it feels like it's my inner child. It feels like my 8-year-old again.
Why is she finding it so difficult to get on board with this retreat, to believe and to believe in its value, to recognize its value, the value of her energy is part of it.
There's still a sense that it's easier to hide and it's easier to be alone with her pain, to withdraw.
What does she believe she's benefiting from withdrawing with her pain?
So nobody else can see her vulnerability.
What does that mean for her if nobody else can see her vulnerability? What does she get from that?
Well, if they don't see it, maybe it doesn't exist.
So the denial of her own vulnerability.
Yeah.
And if she denies her own vulnerability, if nobody sees it, then what does she get from that?
An illusion of strength.
Mm-hmm. And from an illusion of strength, what does she get from that?
Invincibility.
Is it true? Does she get invincibility? What does she actually get from it all?
A lack of support. Yeah.
Yeah, lack of support. What else?
A desire to feel needed by others. Like if she's the strong one, if she's not vulnerable, then others will rely on her. And then she has a desire to feel needed.
Mm-hmm. So then she gets to what? Feel what?
Worthy. Yeah, and I think that's almost why I'm not doing the sessions, because it's like that feeds that part of like, I'm in control, I'm healed, I'm healing you, you know, it feeds that part.
Yeah. So what's the flip side of that? To truly be invincible, to truly be supported, to truly be worthy, to truly be in control without needing to control.
Show all parts of myself, don't keep anything hidden. Because it's like the things that you keep hidden, those parts can't receive because they're hidden. So again, it comes back to the avenues of income. It's like the parts of you that you hide, those parts can't receive. So then those parts are hidden. But you're also blocked. So it's like, don't hide parts of yourself in shame. It's almost like the sunlight, you know, when you lie naked in the sun, like all parts of you receive the sun. But if you have shame around certain body parts, you block those parts from receiving the sun. So it's almost like take off your clothes, take off your masks and receive. Like which parts of you are you hiding? Like if I ask you, which parts of you are you hiding?
Probably many parts. I mean,
so those parts can't receive.
Yeah. Well, I actually feel like asking that question. If you tune into me, what is the most part that I'm so scared to show that is hiding, that I may not even be aware of fully?
The first answer I get is the clown.
Clown.
The inner clown.
Yeah. What does that mean? I mean,
the part that wants to bring humor and laughter and kind of wackiness, kind of crazy, kind of
stir things up.
Yeah.
Unpredictable, spontaneous.
It's like to entertain, actually. To entertain, but through joy.
Yeah.
Through brightness, through color, through, joy. Like teaching children to take themselves less seriously. Like where parents have instilled them with seriousness, it's like you're undoing that. like getting them to tap back into the childlike joy as you tap back into yours. So there's a fear of, I mean, if you're creating something that you've never had, it looks like something you've never experienced. There's a fear of, what does that mean for me and him? What does that mean for my life now? So there's a fear of losing everything as you know it right now. Just as with Rebecca, it's like the comfort bubble. It's like, can you pop that bubble and step into the unknown? What does that
Unfamiliar. Pop the familiar bubble.
Yeah, familiar.
So in terms of moving into this new path and even just creating products, even this evening I created something, I couldn't upload it. I seem to be having a bit of extra trouble with the digital world.
Do you truly believe in the value of what you are offering?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah.
Blocking you is your belief.
Yeah.
It's your belief that that is valuable, what you're putting out.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm expanding more into that. But yeah, is there anything else that I need to be aware of within myself that's holding me back from truly knowing my value, truly accepting, recognizing, allowing it, allowing myself to receive that reflection back in the world, the value of my energy, my creativity, voice presence, quirkiness?
It feels like you've got like potholes in your aura, like in your energy field, like as if like someone sucked parts of you out, like pockets of energy removed.
Tell me more. What's that about? Or what created that? What created those pockets?
I mean, I feel a strong energy with your mother. It's almost like situations where you felt like your energy wasn't valuable, or what you brought in the moment was led to be thought to be unvaluable. So it created a disbelief in your own creative energy. And it's left like what looks like holes through your aura. So it's like patterning in your energy field of different situations where you brought more of yourself and then you felt deflated.
How do I heal that? What's required for me to heal that? What's the antidote now? To fill out those holes and to feel uplifted when I bring more of myself, more expansive, more empowered, more vibrant and vital and radiant, not less.
All back, all the parts of yourself, all the inner children or younger versions of you that gave away part of your power to the opinions of other people. So the part where someone cast an opinion upon you or a judgment and you gave away power in that moment. So call those pieces back now. It's not just your childhood, it's also adult situations where you made someone's opinion of you more important than the truth. So just call all of those parts back to you now.
Call all those parts back to me, wherever I've given my power away to other people's opinions and made that more true than my own inner being.
Yeah, and it was just an interesting point of view on their behalf. So returning all the points of view, projections, expectations, separations, judgments, returning all of that to sender. And calling back the parts of yourself, calling back that creative potential that almost dissolved in that moment because you didn't feel that it was validated in the external. And knowing that you can validate that part now.
And if I don't realize the value in it. Yeah. Because it's like I could feel like an icky kind of energy. So it's like the shame. It's near like a shame connected with it, because I'm like, is it valuable? Oh, I'm not sure. So yeah, so that makes sense with my childhood. The energy around my podcast, Divine Love Ambassador, and the YouTube, why have I created it that it just doesn't seem to be getting a lot of subscribers, especially on the YouTube channel? And it just, yeah, it seems rather bizarre, even though I know I haven't done email lists and things like that, but it just, what is the energy around that? What is the, yeah, what's, because I keep feeling my heartbeat keeps guiding me. I know I'm meant to be doing it. I know it's in the conversations. Do I just keep going with it, or do I
It
let it?
feels like reluctance to being seen. So it's like energetically, it's almost like energetically you're hiding the podcasts. There's still a resistance to being seen on a bigger scale.
And what is the resistance? Is it what is the fear, or what is, yeah? And is it specific to the name of the podcast, like Divine Love Ambassador, or is it just in general?
Fear of judgment was what came up.
Fear of judgment. Okay.
Yeah. I don't feel it was specific to the name. I feel just in general, there was a fear of judgment.
And what is the fear of judgment? What judgments like what's underneath that? What does the fear of judgment really mean? What am I really afraid of?
Well, I feel your 6-year-old with that, and I feel like an energy of ostracized, like you've been pushed out. Like it's almost like you're the child in the playground that nobody wants to play with. Like maybe you, yeah, there's an energy of not fitting in.
I do have some memories of being locked in my room in the children's home.
Again, it's that sense of staying with what you know, like just staying small. So it still feels like there's a reluctant to be seen.
How can what will it take to heal that part? What's required to free up that part, to transform that story, that it's joyful to be seen, it's empowering to be seen, it's fun, it's abundant, it's pleasurable, it's exciting,
It feels like, are you willing to receive it all? The abundance, the joy, the support, but also the judgment. Like if people judge you, are you willing to receive it? Like, can your little inner child be okay with that?
Yeah.
It's about reassuring her, just like Rebecca did the other day, that it's not about her if people judge her.
Yeah.
So really bringing support to your inner child that's scared. And the more she feels confident, so like the example with Rebecca the other day, the more the inner child feels safe, the more opportunities come in to be seen. So the more the energy field opens up and the viewers come in. And again, it's a work, like how much are you comfortable with today? How much are you comfortable with tomorrow? Can you keep expanding? Can you keep pushing through the limits? Can you keep moving past what was originally comfortable? Which you are doing.
Is there anything else that my inner child needs?
Like you need to sit in front of a mirror with her and ask for her to come, and then allow her to speak, and then reassure her in the way you feel guided after she's spoken. So ask her, what are you scared of? How are you scared of being seen? The adult you offering her reassurance. Because it's all your creation. The moment you're ready for more viewers will be there.
Hope everybody enjoyed watching a little bit of the quantum session, got an idea of how it goes between myself and Rebecca. So when Rebecca is really deep in her connection to her higher self, then I asked her to connect with my higher self and then ask some questions, tune into my body, and to bring through some messages for me. So you would have seen that in that little clip. So myself and Rebecca want to invite you, if you would like to connect with us more in this energy and this possibility and this exploration, we would like to invite you to join us in some upcoming opportunities where you can actually send in your question, or you can jump on live with us and actually have a little bit of time with Rebecca's higher self, connecting to your higher self and bringing through those very clear, succinct answers. So if you're excited about that, if you have some burning questions, really important questions to your heart, it can be about anything. There's no question off limit. There's no question too silly. If it's meaningful to you in your heart, it's meaningful to you, you know. And also, at least for me, and I think for you as well, Rebecca, it's really important that it's, you know, it's practical for your life. You know, if you got challenges going on, you know, you want to ask the question, you know, what's going on here? Help me see the pattern. Help me understand, how do I release this? What needs acknowledging, you know? So if you have that level of curiosity, if you have that kind of commitment, dedication, desire to really heal and empower yourself, we really extend this invitation to you. You're our tribe, you're our people. We want to co-create, we want to be in community with you. So I will put some links down the bottom of where you can connect with us and join our group, and then you'll be we'll let you know when those upcoming calls are, and there'll be an option to just watch it, to watch the replay, or to jump on live and to be able to ask those questions when we're in the sessions. So anything else you want to add to that, Rebecca?
I guess I just want to say, you know, just to say that be willing to receive the truth with regards to those questions, because my higher self will give the truth of the situation. So kind of show up if you're really willing to receive the truth, like around those questions, whatever they may be, because they're going to be personal potentially to you. So and
also we'll be holding the intention, you know, as well, for the highest level of divine truth and divine wisdom to come through for everybody, for everyone's highest good, because that's always going to be our intention. So it's always going to be done with compassion and love. And also it may take some days or weeks or months for it to really be integrated. So just giving yourself that allowance as well. But it'll be something that you can go back to and re-listen to, and let it, you know, let it filter in, and you'll have your own ahas. You know, it's not, you don't want to take anything that doesn't resonate, you know, so it's always going to be what resonates for you, because ultimately the quantum sessions and everything we're both about is about, you know, bringing people back to themselves, back to their own energy, back to their own creation and empowerment, so that we can know that we're all here to co-create the new earth, or, you know, whatever we want to call it, but you know, that we really got that in us to create the life that we truly desire.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I just want to kind of explain how that works. So when they ask me the question, it's like they're giving me permission to tune into their energy field, and also to the energies around them in their family unit and the people in their life. And so when they ask a specific question, it's like I'm kind of reading that energetic field, and I can see where the blockages are in the body, where the blockages are in the life, or what soul contracts are playing out with specific people, or I might even be given past life energy around the question. And, you know, so it could, you know, the answer could come in a myriad of forms, whether it's a past life information, or something that I'm sensing in the body, or something I'm sensing with other people. It could even be messages from spirit come through. But I'm kind of reading it in a quantum field, like the energetics of your life and what's holding you back at this time. That's going to be what I'm tapping into, and that's how I'm reading it. I'm kind of my psychic senses, my higher self is able to read the energetics of the situation. So that's how I'm answering your question. Yeah.
I mean, would you say it's channeling? It's a type of channeling, really? You know, people are
It's
channeling.
it's a form of channeling, but I guess I'm also using my capacities through the Pleiadian light work, through the past life regression, through all the modalities, the mediumship, the psychic abilities. I'm using all of the things that I've trained in. You know, like when you've had questions, sometimes it's like come up as the Pleiadian Lightwork screen, and I'm reading soul contracts with people that are ready to be completed, or belief systems that you're holding in place that are preventing you from moving forward. So yeah, I'm channeling, but I'm also using my trainings, you know, in the different modalities to answer the question, because it's not really just an answer to the question either. Sometimes it is a clearing. It's a, you know, we can actually let that go through the answer to the question. So yeah, there's healing from that question. It's not just, oh, I got an answer to a question. It's like, I got an answer to a question and I released the energy of that was sabotaging me. Yeah. So it's very powerful it's very powerful to ask the question and be willing to receive whatever comes up and is ready to be released with that question.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're all evolving, we're all growing in this, and that's the, you know, that's the joy. Yeah.
There's no, we've all been everything and done everything, so there is no judgment on anything that you're going to ask. It's just going to be answered in a way that's useful for you at this time. Yeah.
Beautiful. Excellent. And more than likely it'll be relevant, you know, whoever comes together, there'll be a relevance that will there'll be a resonance between us all as well.
Whoever shows up will see that.
Well, beautiful. Well, thank you for showing up today.
Thank you.
And having this conversation, and we may do some more of these, and there's definitely other things to talk specifically. We're definitely going to do the one on the Pleiadian light work, and I love the mediumship one as well. And we've done the animal communication. So I'll put the link to the previous podcast I did with Rebecca, which was all around animal communication. It was a beautiful podcast. I'll put the link of that underneath in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Take care. Love you loads. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.